Hey, Mythic Fam! Thank you all for joining me on this podcast adventure. This is Weird Mythic Podcast. This is a cryptid episode. Today we are going to be talking about the Welsh Water Leaper, which does have another name that I will put in like the show notes and whatnot, but I'm not going to try to pronounce it at all. I heard multiple people do it and my mouth just doesn't move that way. So the Welsh Water Leaper. And then I'm also going to be talking about the English Shug Monkey. So let's go ahead and dive into this week's or couple weeks episode, huh? Also, I was not planning on doing a video recording. And then I said, flock it. Why not? It's a little late in the night. Monday. Oh, it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I hope everybody had a nice, little day. I did go on a march with a couple friends this morning, and my feet do hurt. I wore the right shoes, but like halfway through, one of my shoes, the laces were coming off, and I was not gonna stop. So I just wish I did stop and fix that shoelace because now my foot kind of hurts. But I'll just put them up later, and it's all good. But yes, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Again, I hope, everybody had a good one and a good weekend that we just got off of. So let's go ahead and get into it. The water leaper. It lives in giant bodies of water and has been around Lake Gwynedd and Lake Glass in Wales. Sort of looks like a giant pollywog. Sorta. This cryptid looks like a giant toad, but about the size of like a big dog, like a German Shepherd or like a really big lab, probably. This giant toad has no legs, but instead has two bat-like wings on the side. The water leaper also has a large tail with a stinger or spike on the end. The water leaper is a carnivorous cryptid. The water leaper also has a sharp screech that will stun its prey. There have been many stories of fishermen pulling up to the water leaper on like their fishing lines, like reeling it in. And as the water leaper reaches the surface of the water, it screeches at the fishermen, stunning them so that they fall into the water. And this is when their fishing buddy has to go ahead and pull them back into the boat. Now, the water leaper also breathes air and water. So it'll leap out of the water, grab its prey in its mouth, and then take it back under the water so that it can then be drowned and eaten. The water leaper is also able to jump about 10 feet at a time, and apparently it can extend its wings out another 5 feet from what you usually see. They're very territorial, and will attack anything that comes near it. There are even stories of water leapers being in packs, and they'll actually attack their prey and work together to take it down. And since water leapers do live in bigger bodies of water, and if they are in a pack, they actually eventually kind of they pretty much eat all of the food in that body of water. So they do have to travel to get it once that food is depleted. Welsh shepherds with their sheep would bypass or completely go around the lakes in Wales, wary of getting too close to the water and not only losing their flock to the water leaper, but they were also trying to keep their dogs away because the water leaper doesn't care. You're big enough, he's going to eat you. They themselves, the shepherds, also didn't want to get hurt by it. Those who have fished in Lake Gwynedd or Glass have missed so many fish from their lines due to their bait and their catches being taken away from them, from the water leaper. The water leaper will grab the line so hard that the fishermen would actually end up going overboard into the lakes. Water leapers are so fast in the water that if a fisherman doesn't let go of his fishing pole in time or just does it too late, he's going to be going for a long ride, very deep underwater, and might not make it back. The oldest mention of the water leapers is from Catherine Briggs' Encyclopedia of Fairies. That was written in 1970. I think I've mentioned that encyclopedia before on other cryptid episodes. I do have a PDF of the encyclopedia in the show notes, but it's not like a full encyclopedia because, like copyright stuff. So, but it's a good reference to look at. The encounter in this encyclopedia, though, came from the late 1800s, and some of them were even from the 1900s. A man named Ivan Owen tells a story of how his dad had an encounter with the Water Leaper. Ephraim's dad was out with one of his buddies fishing on the lake one afternoon. They were out on the boat for hours and really had no luck catching any fish. Ephraim's dad would bring in his line, hook and all, and every time he did, he would notice that the fly was gone from the hook. There was no bait there at all, not a remnants of it, nothing. He would throw in his fishing pole, wait a little bit, him and his buddy just wait there, and then they would feel it, like something grab on. So as soon as they would yank back to hook the fish, immediately gone. They immediately snagged and broke a line. But really it was just the bait being gone. Or when they would catch and hook a fish, all of a sudden halfway from reeling it in, it would all of a sudden go loose and there was nothing there. Happening to them all day. They would move from another spot to the lake, from this spot to that spot, just to get a better location, maybe get some luck in other areas. But the same thing would happen in each spot. The men would throw out their lines, rip it, and then it was gone, and there was nothing on the other end. The men were aware of the Water Leaper legend, by the way. As the day was getting late, the men decided to head back to shore. So Ephraim's dad decides to reel in his last line. And as he's reeling it in, he feels a bite. So, it stayed on the line this time. And as he's pulling it in, he's really, finally, I got this good fish. And he's getting really excited. He's pulling it in and the catch is getting closer. As he's getting this fish closer, it all of a sudden comes out of the water. And it was not a fish. This was a giant toad. Now, as Ephraim's dad is realizing that this is a giant toad on the other end, and his buddy is oh my God, this is also, he's realizing that's a giant toad. It's close enough that this thing, the Water Leaper, screeches at Ephraim's dad. And of course, Ephraim's dad kind of passes out and almost falls out of the boat as his buddy reaches in, grabs him, and pulls him back, onto the boat, not going overboard. So pulls him back in, gets the pole in, and they just take off. They just wanted to get the hell out of the area. Ephraim's dad's story never changed. It stayed the same every time. Even his buddy, he was yeah, it stunned him. I had to get him back in the boat. Nothing changed. Nothing wavered from their story. So if you're in Wales, you might want to be a little stay clear, or at least be very careful of going into some of those lakes. And the next cryptid that I want to talk about is called the Shug Monkey. In the countryside of Cambridgeshire in England, there is a creature that chases people at night. It has been seen in the famous Rendlesham Forest, but it's also been seen in plenty of other places around Cambridgeshire, but also Rendlesham Forest, which I have to mention because you have to go listen to my episode 60, about the UFOs that are constantly seen there. Constantly. It's really, really cool. That's the one with the English Roswell episode. But it's Rendlesham Forest UFOs. Go check it out, episode 60. Anyways, this creature, the Shug Monkey, it has nothing to do with UFO. This creature has the body of a very large dog, large circle, it's always said large circle eyes, and with the face of a monkey or some sort of primate, but not human and definitely not dog. It's shaped like a dog, it has a body of a dog, monkey, primate face. Before the Shug Monkey was considered a cryptid, those around Cambridgeshire believed that this Shug Monkey was also a ghost or a demon, believing that it was kind of related to, or the cousin of the Black Shuck of England, which was that giant dog, the giant demon dog in Norfolk that I also did an episode on, but of course can't remember the episode. It's probably one of the demons or, haunted ones. Anyways, that was the Black Shuck, is of the giant demon dog with red eyes that busted into the church and actually killed 2 people. So we have the Black Shuck and then we have the Shug Monkey. the lore around them in the beginning was very much of a demon or a ghost. Now, the Shug Monkey has been seen running around West Riding and Belsham, usually on all fours, like running like a dog. But it's also been seen shuffling along on its hind legs, which is kind of creepy. Like you could picture a dog like on its hind legs and like kind of trying to walk, but with a monkey face and those circle eyes. That's what gets me. One of the first written reports of the Shug Monkey came from James Wentworth Day in his book that came out in 1954 called Here Are Ghosts and Witches. Now, here's some of the stories that were in that book. In 1956, Sam Holland was walking along the Suffolk countryside with his dog Harry. While on the walk, Sam's dog Harry started to give attention to the trees that were about 40 feet or so ahead of him. And it is during the day. It says during the day, you see the trees clearly, nothing standing in the way. Harry is just sort of making noise and paying real close attention to this tree line. And as Sam and Harry continue to get closer to the trees, Sam then starts to notice that there is something in the trees, that Harry isn't just getting excited, that there is something in there. As Sam gets closer, he notices that whatever is in the trees is actually starting to step out from the trees, and they just continue to walk closer. As this thing emerges from the tree line, Sam tries to figure out exactly what he is seeing. Sam's first thought was, really, what is that? Like, what am I looking at here? I noticed something moving, I see something moving, and now I strongly see this, but what is it that I'm looking at? Sam stops walking. And, Harry also has to stop. He's on the leash and he's just still kind of going around, not barking or anything, just kind of on edge a little bit for a dog. And Sam's really trying to figure out what this thing is. This creature had 4 large muscular legs and was on all 4 and was covered in thick black fur. It was also very large and must have been about 10 feet in length. Now, as Sam continues to just try to figure out what he's seeing here, what the hell is he looking at this time? This thing turns and looks directly in Sam and Harry's direction. And this is when Sam notices that this creature's face is that of a gorilla. It had like a very large neck and circle-piercing eyes looking directly at Sam. Its nostril actually begins to flare as Sam is still staring at this creature. And he starts to feel a little scared. He starts to feel actually a little cold. And he's noticing that Harry is now whimpering next to him. And Sam and this creature just continue to stare at each other in silence. And after what must have seemed like forever to Sam, probably no more than about a minute, maybe 2 at the most, this creature just turns around and goes back into the trees. Now, Sam's story also never changed, like that of the Water Leaper. Neither of these people ever changed their story. Everything always stayed the same. And like Sam, he believes he came into contact with the Shug Monkey. Again, this was during the day, and he could see everything, so it was kind of weird that he was seeing it, considering the Shug Monkey was usually seen at night, chasing people. In 1963, 7 years after Sam had seen this creature while he was taking his dog Harry for a walk along the countryside of Suffolk, a woman named Peggy Cushing was also walking around on that same path that they had taken. The difference in this setting, however, is that Peggy was walking, like the way it was described, was kind of closer to like dusk, so the sun was setting, but it wasn't quite dark yet. And as she was walking, she also sees something come out from the trees that to her looks like a very large dog and with a monkey face. Now when this thing sees Peggy, it turns at her, screams at her, and then shape-shifted into a gargoyle and flew away. Yeah. In 1966, a writer named John Downes wrote in a book about an encounter that one of his ex-girlfriends had had. John explains that this girlfriend he was with was a paranormal researcher, and she was able to get a video that showed this paw print. Now, this print looked a lot like a giant dog or perhaps a giant cat that hadn't been discovered yet. However, this print didn't really have claws or what you would consider like really dog or cat prints. It was more of a flattened, like finger, but it still kind of looked like that of a paw, but no claws, flat fingers. Now, this ex-girlfriend of John Doan's wanted to dismiss this, of course, but after just looking at this footage over and over again, and the fact that she was a paranormal investigator, she actually believed that she was seeing footage of the Shug Monkey. Now, this was the first instance that made John want to do more research on the Shug Monkey. John then went on to make multiple documentaries, wrote multiple books on his findings of the Shug Monkey and other paranormal like creatures, and I do have some of those listed in the show notes if you want to check it out. Now, one of the last stories I have about the Shug Monkey that I could find came from 1992. There was this married couple, Brian and Felicity McDougall, and they were actually camping in the Rendlesham Forest, which has got to be hella fun and a little nerve-wracking. I would do it. While asleep in their tent, Brian and Felicity both woke up around the same time, just kind of like out in their sleep. They woke up hearing grunting noises outside of their tent. Now, they thought it might have been like maybe a pig or a deer, so they decided to creep out slowly from their tent. As they got out of their tent, they realized that the grunting was not coming from a deer or a pig, but to them what looked like to be a bear. This bear was going through their kitchen area. One of them grabs a flashlight and shines the flashlight at this bear. Now, I just have to ask, I don't know what kind of bears you have in the UK, but I would never just get out of my tent and shine a flashlight at any of the bears here in Northern California. So just putting it out there, because that's exactly what Brian and Felicity did, obviously. And as they shined this light on this bear, they both realized that this creature ain't a bear. This a beast from now on had long dark hair covering its body. It was about 8 feet tall, and it had very long arms and the face of a baboon. This creature turns to the couple, looks directly at them, stands on their hind legs even taller, growls at Brian and Felicity, and then starts running back into the trees. So be careful camping in the Rendlesham Forest. And the Shug Monkey. So now we have, it's always the long black fur, extremely tall, and now we have a baboon face, a gorilla face, and an ape. Like, that's pretty creepy. So you guys got to tell me what you think about these cryptids. Like, I got to know what you guys think. And I hope you guys all had fun listening. And please send me what you thought about this episode, any other lore you know about the water leaper or the Shug Monkey, or like the Shug Monkey and even the black shuck, how they could be like kind of related or part of the same folklore. I'd like to know more about that. And yeah, if anybody's ever really even heard of the water leaper, Wales fans, hit me up. Everybody can get into contact with me at weirdmythicpodcast@gmail.com. I will answer any questions. Don't forget to go to Instagram, Weird Mythic Podcast, Twitter, Weird Mythic, TikTok, Weird Mythic, YouTube, Weird Mythic Podcast. And I know my link tree is somewhere on there, so if you want to look at some of the merch and help out, that is always appreciated. Thank you again. Have an amazing week. Bye.